Hey there, it's Quinn with PTSD while Black. Um, just checking in for today. Had in my therapy session, and part of the topic was like my PTSD has been really high around my social anxiety disorder. I'm doing this exercise of where I work with different four group a group of people of 4 or 5 people, and we support each other on whatever our goals are for the week plus time tracking and uh, spirituality, time tracking, self care, exercise, and an earning goal. And in this case, my earning goal was my website. And it's been a beautiful experience doing that. But it's really been triggering my social anxiety disorder because what happens is I have to call a new person every week. And then at the end of the month, we change the teams that we were on. And so I'm calling brand new people all over again. So my social anxiety disorder is really high, but I'm seeing the beauty of connecting and working with other people. Um, the other thing that's coming up for me is in my therapy session about belonging, about wanting to be part of a community. In this case, it's really part of being part of the African American community, um, because I've often felt that I didn't belong. But my therapist had a really healthy conversation. She's like, there's this need for you to belong, but it's a need to belong with healthy people. And are you trying to connect with healthy people or are you just trying to connect with whomever's available? Am I just giving them a pass because I understand that they've had a really hard life and they've had many hard challenges? And so that I should be their friend. And we've talked about how I make friends with serial killers. I try to be friendly to people who really aren't capable of having a relationship or a friendship. Um, so I'm kind of having to accept that my social anxiety disorder drives me into that behavior of trying to be in a relationship with someone who isn't a safe person because I don't know me. I haven't taken the time to accept me. And when talking today, we're realizing that when I'm ostracized from a group because I've chosen to be authentically me, that it brings up my past trauma of being judged or labeled or called out as something, and not being known for who I am. And again, it's at the end of the day, do I need to let those people occupy so much space? Do I need these people who aren't capable of knowing me? Do I need them to know me? So am I going where love is being served? Um, and I allowed myself in the therapy session to go into the deep pieces of my trauma, my teenage self that say, oh, you shouldn't be here because obviously nobody knows who you are, so you should not be here. And to feel that sadness, the regret, the fear, the anger, and the hurt, to allow myself to feel it, to feel the rage that comes from it, and to still love myself anyway, and to still choose to be here authentically as the glorious hot mess that I am. But to recognize that on my own, without a loving and supporting community, those are the answers that my childhood self came up with, which was either A, to not belong at all and try to leave and exit the world, history of self injury and suicide attempts as a teenager, or to be whatever it is that people have said about me, to be the boogeyman that I've been made out to be. But again, in doing so, I'm not being authentic to myself. I'm not being who I am, and I'm still allowing someone else's opinion to tell me who to be. And it's freeing to own how frightening that may be, to address it. Because in the past, that's what it was. It's like, okay, if you're going to be a bitch, then I will be a bitch. But that's not where I want to be. I don't feel like being a bitch today, but this person needs me to be a bitch. And I'm having to realize, well, if this person needs me to be a bitch, then they don't need me. The adult response, the healed and recovered response, the response of having owned all of my feelings and owned what my reality is learning that I don't have to be what they've defined me as. That obviously they can't handle a safe, healthy, engaged part of me. And I need to allow, I love my therapist. She's like, allow them to be wrong. Allow them to be where they are and just to not put yourself in danger trying to stay in that relationship. And that's hard, I think, because my social anxiety disorder says, oh, but collect everyone, including people who are covered in barbed wire that will hurt you. So I'm having to just accept this reality. It's just like in high school. I was kicked out of high school because I made the statement when the Columbine shooting happened. I was like, if you bully someone, don't be surprised if they were to retaliate. Was I justifying what they did? No. But I was saying, don't be surprised if that person retaliates. And everyone took it because they were all scared and afraid at the time that Quinn, the girl who's a self-injurer, is going to shoot up the whole school. And just as much as I was not a school shooter as a teenager, I was definitely a troubled teenager and more suicidal than anything at that time. But just as much as I'm not a school shooter, then I'm not whatever the boogeyman fears are that people who choose to believe, whatever their fears, whatever their traumas, whatever their inadequacies are, I don't have to try to be that either. Because I'm like, I'm not going to go out and shoot up a school just because you said that I'm going to shoot up a school. I'll be a bitch to you all, but I'm not going to shoot up a school. Well, it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing of, okay, that's not who I am. I was like a Captain Planet kid on the Earth team. Or Earth Club, I think that's what it was. I was a fucking hippie. When in 6th grade, when they wanted us to learn how to shoot guns for going hunting, I was like, no, I can't do that. I mean, that's who I am. That's who I was, but I'm sorry that nobody else could see who I was. And I'm going to have to realize the more that I'm someone who's willing to put myself out there, the more that I'm willing to speak up, the more that I'm willing to be authentically me, the more that I'm willing to take on leadership positions, the more people are going to come up with whatever their opinions are about me. And I just need to allow them to be wrong. I don't have to prove anything to them. And I think that's what a lot of my trauma of my childhood and my early 20s was that I was trying to prove who I was to everyone. And now I don't have to prove shit. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so one video at a time, I guess, because that ties into the next piece is I've been overworking on volunteer work to prove that I'm just as able as able-bodied people, that my concussion and the seizure episodes, whatever the fuck they are, trying to prove that I can do as much as anybody else. Though I have an injured spine, I have concussion, post-concussion symptoms and whatnot, and I can just stop proving. I'd like to get to that space of, you don't have to prove. You're just awesome where you are. You do what you can do, and you don't do what you can't do. So, yeah, that's the next place of permission that I'm looking to move into. All right. Till next time, kids. Peace.